will be discussing about what is latitude and what is longitude and what is the need. Why do we need latitude and longitude? So basically, what is the reason? See, Earth is, I told you, it is a kind of a sphere, not a perfect sphere. It is geoid in shape. Okay. So if something is a kind of a sphere and you need to locate a place on that, divided Earth into number of latitudes and longitudes. So latitudes and longitudes, they do not exist. These are basically imaginary lines. These are helpful. Why? To locate the place. Okay, so with the help of latitude and longitude, you can locate a place by making a grid. A place is, so supposingly 78 degrees north and 3 degrees east. Okay, so like this, we are able to find out the location of any place. Latitude is equator, okay, which is 0 degrees latitude. We also call latitude as parallel. So why these are called as parallel? As you can see in this diagram, all the latitudes are parallel to each other. That means they do not cross each other. They are running parallel to each other. The direction is they run in east-west direction. So you can see equator, this east-west. So this is west, basically this is east. So all the latitudes, as you can see, they would run from east to west direction. Okay, this picture also, there are 5 important latitudes are shown, like equator, Tropic of Cancer, Arctic Circle, Tropic of Capricorn, Antarctic Circle, all are running, direction is east to west. Okay. Also, you know, the third point, that latitude, it varies from 0 to 90 degrees. So 0 degree latitude is, I told you, equator, and 90 degree latitude, this one is the 90 degree, which is the North Pole. And as seen 90 degrees south, this latitude is South Pole. Okay. So the latitude, they varies from 0 to 90 degrees north and south of equator. So from equator, you would count, this is 0 degrees. Okay, then there will be this Tropic of Cancer, which is 23.5 degrees, then Arctic Circle, which is 66.5 degrees. And then in the north at 90 degrees, you have North Pole. Similarly, from equator, if you go towards the south, you have 23.5 degrees south is Tropic of Capricorn. 66.5 degrees, this is not north, this is south. 66.5 degrees south is Antarctic Circle, and then 90 degrees south is South Pole. Then the next point, I've already told you, latitudes, they are parallel to one another, and you should remember that they never meet. All these points are important from the prelims point of view. Okay. Then the last point also you should remember, they get shorter towards the pole. So you can see this is the equator is the longest latitude, then they are getting shorter in length. Latitudes, they get shorter towards the pole, with only equator the longest, a great circle. So what is a great circle? That also I will discuss. Great circle kya hota hai? Great circle is, if you cut, supposingly, if you cut the earth here at 0 degrees equator, you would cut the earth into 2 equal halves. Okay, so one is the northern hemisphere, one half, and one half is the southern hemisphere. So when a sphere is cut in such a way that it divides the sphere into 2 equal halves, then this circle which is made, it is known as great circle. Okay, I will tell you in detail afterwards. Like for example, if you have an apple and you cut the apple from the middle, okay, such that the apple is divided into 2 equal halves. Okay, so if you take one part of the apple, so the upper part of this is the great circle. Okay, supposingly this is a orange, okay, a sphere you can say. Now you have cut this orange from the middle such that it is cut into 2 equal halves. This circle, when you hold one part, okay, after cutting the orange, when you hold one part of the orange, one half of the orange, this circle which is formed at the surface, this is known as great circle. So great circle is nothing. Great circle is basically when you cut any sphere into 2 equal halves. Okay, so the circle that is made here, it is the great circle. Okay, so at equator, I told you equator, it divides the earth into two halves. So if you cut the earth at equator, you will get the great circle. Now equator, all of you must be knowing that equator is 0 degrees latitude. Okay, so the imaginary line, I told you latitudes and longitudes both are imaginary line. They do not exist in reality. But just to locate the places, we have named some as latitudes and some as longitudes. So equator is an imaginary line running on the globe which divides the earth into two equal parts. I have already told you two equal parts are the northern hemisphere and the other part is the southern hemisphere. Okay, so equator divides earth into two equal halves. One half is the northern hemisphere and the other half is the southern hemisphere. So beside equator, you know, is 0 degrees. Okay, apart from it, North Pole is 90 degrees, South Pole is 90 degrees south. Okay, apart from these, there are four important parallels or latitudes. Four important parallels कौन से हैं apart from equator, North Pole and South Pole? These are Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle. But remember the degrees. Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degrees north. Capricorn is 23.5 degrees south. Arctic Circle is 66.5 degrees north and Antarctic Circle is 63.5 degrees south. I told you Torrid Zone is between Tropic of Cancer 23.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south. That means Torrid Zone is the area between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. This area is the Torrid Zone or it is known as Tropical Zone. Why tropical? Because it is between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Okay. Now, I told you why it is called torrid. First, the direct rays of the sun are falling on this area. So sun is overhead on equator making 90 degrees. Then on some other day, then sun would start traveling from equator. It would reach Tropic of Cancer. It will be directly overhead. And I told you sun will not move beyond Tropic of Cancer. That means sun will not move beyond 23.5 degrees north. So what happens when the sun is directly overhead Tropic of Cancer? After that day, sun would start again traveling back to equator. And then again it will be directly overhead the equator making 90 degrees. That means the sun rays are falling directly on this latitude. Okay, direct sun rays. So that means it is too hot. Then again, the sun would start travel from 0 degrees equator to 23.5 degrees south, which is Tropic of Capricorn. Okay, so on some day of the year, sun will be directly overhead Tropic of Capricorn. And again, sun will not move beyond 23.5. So sun will not go beyond 23.5. It will remain here and then again it would return back to equator. So I told you the journey of sun is between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So therefore this area is known as Torrid Zone or the Tropical Zone. Okay, the next zone. Okay, so the next zone that we are talking about is beyond 23.5 degrees north and between 23.5 degrees north and 66.5 degrees north. So that means this area. We are talking about the area between these two latitudes, Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle. Okay. Now this area is called North Temperate Zone. Similarly, this area between 23.5 degrees south and 66.5 degrees south, this area is called South Temperate Zone. Okay, so you have to remember 23.5 degrees south to 66.5 degrees south. This area is temperate. Okay, and 23.5 degrees north to 66.5 degrees north, this area is North Temperate. Now, temperate means moderate. Moderate means the climate is not very hot, and it is not very cold. So that means the climate in both these regions is moderate. Moderate means mild, not very hot, not very cold. Now, why not very hot? This I was asking. So as I told you, the sun, it will move between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn throughout the year. It will not move beyond 23.5 degrees north and beyond 23.5 degrees south. So the sun will be between these two latitudes. So what happened? I told you on these latitudes, it was making 90 degrees. But what happens since sun, if sun is here, its rays are falling like this on this region. So is this angle 90 degrees? And what happens is the angle start to decrease. Okay. So the angle of sun rays decreases from 90 degrees. So that means the sun rays do not fall directly, rather they are slanting. Okay. So what does that mean? They are not falling directly. That means this area is not too hot. So it is less hot as comparison to this area, because here the sun rays were falling directly. Okay. So similarly, what happens if the sun is here on equator? The sun rays would fall on this area like this. Again, the angle has decreased. That means the sun rays are not falling directly. They are slant. Okay. So not direct. So that means again, this area is less hot as compared to this area where sun rays are direct. So that is why this area is known as temperate zone. The sun will not leave the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. It will lay between these latitudes. So that is why the area beyond tropics, it will receive less heat as compared to tropics. That is why tropics are hotter than the temperate areas. Okay. Now coming to the third category, frigid zone. Now frigid zone, basically it is the area which is beyond Arctic Circle and beyond Antarctic Circle. So North Pole is basically 90 degrees north. This latitude is 90 degrees north. Okay. And South Pole is 90 degrees south. So you can say the area between 66.5 degrees north and 90 degrees north, this area is known as frigid zone. Why frigid? There is very less. Why? Because I told you the movement of sun is between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So sun will be between these two latitudes. So what happened? The sun rays would fall more, the sun rays will be more slant as compared to the temperate zone. This means less heat. So these areas are very cold. And you must be knowing that there are some, months in the North Pole when there is no light. So for 6 months, when the sun is here, overhead Tropic of Capricorn, or you can say when the sun is in the southern hemisphere, for 6 months at North Pole, there would be complete darkness. Similarly, when the sun is overhead on Tropic of Cancer in the northern hemisphere, on the South Pole for 6 months, there would be complete darkness. Subtropical area is between 23.5 degrees and 40 degrees north. So this area above the, immediately above the tropics, okay, immediately above the tropics till 40 degrees north and till 40 degrees south, this area is also called subtropical.